Well, I guess it's confession time.
Do we have all day?
Yes, sir. Wow, Frank. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being told what to do. Do you like being told what to do, Shirley? Yeah. You know, because I have my own way of doing something, and I have my own ideas about something else. And when somebody comes along and they say, hey, do it that way. I'm like, but my way's probably better. No, do it this way. And I start questioning, well, why? Why do I have to do it the way you say to do it? Could there not be a different, better way? And sometimes when I'm being told what to do, I guess I get a little rebellious. It's like, no, back off. I got this. I got this under control, right? Because you're probably out there thinking right now, when somebody tells you what to do, how do you react? Do you react the same kind of way? Like, why do you think you know better than me what to do or how to do it? You ever feel that way? Especially if you're the top boss in your company and somebody tells you what to do. Really? Can't do that. Can't tell the boss what to do, can you? You can try. How many bosses are in here? One. Okay, good. You know, I can be in various places and various things, and sometimes somebody will lay out something, okay, this is the way you do something. Makes sense. If I've never done it before, I want to know. Okay? Baking something, making something, doing a project. This is how you do things. But usually along that process, I start diverting and going, well, you know, I think if I just did this over here, it might be a little easier. For me. It just makes more sense to me to do things a certain way. And if somebody comes up to you and tells you, do things this way, and you've been doing it a different way all your life, what's your reaction going to be to that? Positive? Negative? Like, again, don't tell me what to do. I've been doing this for a long time. Right? Like when your kid tells you, you should do it this way. Math? New math? No, I don't do new math. Not this guy. The old math works just fine for me. So I'm a rebel. I mean, you like new math? Old math? Yeah, no surprise. No surprise. Sometimes in my own house, though, I'm being told what to do. You know, kids will go, hey, Dad, do it this way. I'm like, why? My wife tells me what to do, how to do it a certain way, and I usually listen to her. I do. You can ask her. That's one person I'll listen to. But you know, in my house, too, when it comes to dishes, you know, we don't have a dishwasher, right? So every night, every day we do dishes by hand, right? And I have my own method for dishes, right? Because it works for me. You wash the small plates first, and you put them in the drainer right here, right? Then you do the big plates, and they go next to them, because it just lines up nice and orderly. And then all the other forks and stuff, they've been soaking, so they're easy to clean. You put them in over here, and then the pots and stuff. And there's a method, right? And my method is the right method. It is. And my family, you know what they do? They give me the big plates first. What are you doing? They give me a pot. I don't want the pot. I need the small plates over here. Man, they don't know how to do dishes, I tell you. They don't. I do it the right way. They do it the not right way. You know, we each have our own style of how to do dishes. Right? There's no right or wrong way. It's just what works for us individually, right? But when somebody tells me I got to do it a different way, I kind of rebel. I might not be the nicest person in the world, you know. No, don't tell me that. I got it. We'll take care of it. Happens a lot. We go to work, we go to school, we're being told how to do things in a certain way. Now, write a paper this way. Use these kind of things. I was like, why? It makes no logical sense. But sometimes we are being called to do that. We don't have to like it, but sometimes we do it anyway, right? Being told what to do. Being told what to do. Our gospel today is a story about somebody being told what they should do. You see, Jesus had just been baptized in the River Jordan by John, and he goes out to the wilderness for 40 days. 40 days with no food, no water. He just goes out. And remember, the Judean wilderness is not like a wilderness of Colorado. There's no trees, there's no lush plants. It's brown. It's hilly, it's rocky. There's not a whole lot out there except for bugs and insects and things, you know? And this is the wilderness that Jesus is in. And he's out there for a long time, and then somebody comes to him and says, "Hey, Jesus, I'm Satan. You might know me. I'm the deceiver. Hey, you know what? I know you're hungry, right? You're hungry? Tell you what, why don't you make that rock turn into bread? Go ahead and do it. It's okay. I won't tell. We'll get cheeseburgers later on. It'll be fine." And Jesus is like, "No, I'm okay. I don't need to change those rocks into bread. But thank you for telling me something I should do. I'm not going to do it." And then he goes on and he tempts some other different ways as well. And I'm wondering, Jesus had ability to say no. If you were in the wilderness for maybe 3 days, and somebody came to you and says, "Hey, I bet you're hungry. You can eat this food here if you only do something else for me. Maybe not so good." Would you be tempted to eat that food after 3 days in the wilderness? To do this negative thing? I think I might be, right? You're hungry. You haven't eaten for 3 days. It's a long time. You're hungry. You need that. You need that water. Some of us might be willing to do a lot of different things in order to get that, right? Because we're tempted by it, because that's what we need. I mean, some of us maybe after a day and a half would probably cave in, honestly, right? That sounds good. I'll do that. I'll do that. Temptation. You may have heard of the word temptation. We actually said it today in the Lord's Prayer. Lead us not into temptation. Live us away from temptation. But you know what? The problem with temptation? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You look outside, you see temptation. If you watch any kind of TV or streaming or anything that's got advertisements on it, guess what? You are tempted. Tempted to buy this. Tempted to eat this thing. Tempted to do this action because it's fun. Temptation is hard. Especially when our whole group of friends are doing this one thing and we know it's not right, but we want to be part of that particular group. So we go ahead and say, well, do I do this thing that I know is not right so I fit in and I won't lose my friends? Or do I say, no, I can't get involved with that? And that gets pretty sticky pretty quickly because we don't want to lose our friends. So sometimes we give in to that temptation. And we do that thing that we probably shouldn't be doing. You see, Jesus was tempted, but Jesus was God. He didn't give in. We, however, are human, and we give in all the time. Sometimes we might not even know what we're doing. What is temptation, though? We have to get at the key of what temptation is. And I got a few pictures here to show you what temptation is. Lyle? Ask temptation. I look at that and go, how many fish did they go through to get this picture nice and perfect? He's not even looking at the fish, though, is he? Oh. Probably had his fill. Temptation. Do you think that cat's going to think twice about eating one of those fish? Probably not. It's food. And I really wish Sue was here because the next slide I put up for Sue, but I'll have to send that to her. She's got a pug. Temptation, right? You ever been there? When that Oreo cookie's sitting right over here? And you're over here going, that looks really good. Maybe I should eat it. That's temptation. You can be tempted by Oreo cookies, by the way. You can. I give in to Oreo cookies all the time. All the time. I just do. They're great. They're wonderful. But yeah, when we're faced with temptation, what do we do? What do we do? Temptation isn't new in the Scriptures. Remember the Garden of Eden? Adam and Eve? Perfect? God said, hey, this is all yours. Have a good time. Oh, by the way, don't do one thing. Don't eat of the fruit of this one tree, okay? Cool? Yeah? Okay. Fine. Cool. What do we do? Eve goes over and says, oh, this looks good. Because the snake said, it looks good. You'll be like God if you eat this fruit. She's like, Adam, check it out. He's like, and here we are today. Right? One thing they were told not to do, and they were tempted. By who? The deceiver, right? They had a choice. They could have said no. But they said yes. And we've been saying yes ever since. That apple, that fruit, it looks so good. Couldn't help myself. You know, a lot of times in our lives, I think that's what we do. We make excuses for what we've done. But I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Oh, but it looks so wonderful. And how could I resist that? You know, we all do that. We all make up excuses for the temptation that we cave into all the time. And that's the negative temptation I'm talking about, right? I don't necessarily see Oreo cookies as a negative temptation. It's just there. But the things that harm us, the things that harm others, that's what I'm talking about here today. But we give in. And we hurt ourselves and we hurt others too. And it's something we do over and over. Over and over. So what do we do about that all? Well, one more sentence. Another one of these temptations that Satan gave to Jesus was to say, hey, I'm going to bring you up to this top little level of this building here, and hey, I want you to jump off. Basically, I want you to jump off because scriptures say that the angel's wings will hold you up. So go ahead, jump off. Tempt fate. Jesus is like responding, no, I'm not going to do that. Because you shouldn't put the Lord your God to the test. Why would I want to do that? So Satan's like, that didn't work. So later on, he brings her up to a tall mountain, right? He says, hey, look at all this stuff. See all this stuff? This can be yours. I will give everything here to you if you only bow down to me. That's all you got to do. Everything you see will be yours. Again, Jesus resists that temptation, right? See, and that's the difference between Jesus and us is we're all tempted, even Jesus was, but Jesus has the ability to say no. And we don't always have that same ability. Because if Satan brought you up to a tall mountain overlooking Denver and the surrounding area and said, hey, you know what? All this can be yours. All this money, all this wealth, anything you want, it will be yours. All you got to do is worship me. How many of us might be tempted, if only for a while, to say yes to that? You mean I can control all this? I can have anything I want? That's pretty tempting, isn't it? I can have anything I want? Wow. I can take over Simpson UMC. Woo! Just kidding. I wouldn't do that. We're tempted. And if you're down on your luck, what's going to happen? Wow. This is a picture of Jesus and Satan's leaning over his shoulder, whispering to him. Well, we know how that ends. Jesus doesn't succumb. But I mean, what do we do if we put ourselves in that place? With the deceiver looking and whispering into our ear. How easy is it to avoid the temptation then? Because there's a lot of good temptations out there. There really are. We can justify it so many different ways. But who are we going to listen to? Who are we going to listen to? God or the deceiver? God or our friends? God or culture and society? What are we going to listen to? Who are we going to obey? It's kind of what this boils down to. Jesus obeys God's commands, doesn't give in. We try. We really do try. Sometimes we give in more than others. But see, there's just so many things on our shoulders that we have to deal with. Well, and right now, I want you to think about what is your biggest temptation or two. Don't say them out loud. We don't need to hear them. What is your biggest temptation or two, right? Money, wealth, vehicles, cars, confectionery desserts, cigarettes, drugs. What is your thing that you are tempted by? I know we've all got something. We've all got something that we're tempted by. And what happens when that temptation gets strong in your life? What do? How do you handle that? Do you cling to God and ask for help, or do you try to handle that on your own? Or do you succumb to that temptation and pull yourself further away from God instead of drawing yourselves closer to God? Who do you obey? The deceiver or God? We need to make choices. Who are we going to listen to? In this case, when God tells me what I should do, I should probably be smart enough to listen to that and not think that I can do it better than God. But I do sometimes, and that gets me in trouble. But whatever this temptation is you have the ability and you have the choice to say no. It's really hard, though, sometimes. And that's why I put this next slide up here from Corinthians. It says, "No temptation has seized you except what is common to man." Okay? We succumb to temptation, and that's what's common to all of us. We have that. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. It's from 1 Corinthians. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. So when you're tempted, and you find yourself trying to slip toward that temptation, guess what? We need to do one thing and one thing only. We need to turn back to Christ. We need to turn to God and say, "I'm being tempted, Lord. I need help. I want to go closer toward you and not farther away. Can you help me with that?" And hopefully and prayerfully, God's going to be there. You're going to get that help, and you're not going to give in to the temptation that you might be thinking about right now. And we're going to slip. We're going to slide, okay? But the key here is that we're always moving toward God instead of away from God. And we can only do that with God's help. So my prayer for all of you this day, as you gather here today, is that when you are tempted, you go to Christ first. You seek that help and you seek that strength to say no. And then no matter what you do, you always, always keep moving toward the one that we call Christ. And I think for right now, that's a pretty good place to start. Would you pray with me, please? Gracious and glorious God, Lord, we thank you for being with us in these troubling times. Help us, Lord God, to resist the temptation and draw closer to you. In your name we pray, O Lord. Amen.